Thanks to the support as a channel member, All Stars United SC. Imagine a world where Notts County have such a good season that they finish with over 100 points and somehow still don't get automatic promotion from the National League. It's unimaginable, but thanks to Manchester City, it's happening. If we beat them today, we're going to win the league and they're going to have to fight their way through the playoffs. What's a Wrexham? No idea. Hello and welcome to part 6 of Saving Man City. I'm Kevin. Coming up on today's episode, we hopefully have a trophy lift. Although my Kev maths, I'm already looking at this. My Kev maths might be wrong. We're 6 points clear of Notts County with 4 games to go. We play them. We've got a much better goal difference. I mean, we've both had incredible seasons, but ours has been incredible, extra incredible with bells on. If we beat them, we'll be 9 points clear of them with 3 games to go and a goal difference of advantage of more than 60 goals. I don't think that'll actually be enough for the trophy lift. So we might not see the trophy lift, but we are going to see, hopefully, a trophy lift in the FA Trophy final, which we've made it through to at Wembley against Southend. Since you were last with me, as you would imagine, we've had a very dominant, incredible season. I mean, you saw it from the league table. We did actually only scrape through the FA Trophy semi-final on penalties against Dorking, but that's because the FA Trophy, all the way through, we've been playing a very rotated team. As you can see, none of the regular starters in that team. So the FA Trophy has been the B team, and hopefully we're going to win that with the B team, and hopefully we're going to win the league with the A team today. Notts County, realistically, the only team who are going to take an invincible season off us as well. So we need to go there and pick up the win. Finance-wise, I mean, it's close to disaster. I don't think it's absolute disaster just yet. And weirdly, the projection is actually showing we're expected to find £5 million from somewhere by the end of the season, because the projection is for us to finish on minus 54 and we're already on minus 59. So I can only assume there's maybe a transfer installment or something coming in, because actually on transfer debt, we have a positive on transfer debt. So we have more clauses and installments coming in than we have going out. So I imagine that's what it's going to be. The installments for Jesus, for example, and Zinchenko and a few others, Ferran Torres. There's some big installments that are going to be coming due. So that's to come. Obviously, we still have installments and things on their way out as well for the likes of Haaland, etc. So it kind of just about almost balances out. But it does mean that we're going to go into the summer, hopefully, without going into administration. A debt of only £55 million should be fine. Let's not worry about what's likely to happen next season. We're running out of saleable assets here. If we look at values of players, obviously this summer is going to be about trying to balance those books as much as possible. And you've got to look at the likes of Tommy Doyle. Bournemouth want him. We could potentially get up towards 15, 20 million pounds for him. Liam Delap, similar kind of price range. Rico Lewis, we could be getting 10 million plus for. James McAtee, Taylor Hardwood-Bellis. These are all players that would be looking to get more than 10 million pounds for. And then you've got the likes of Sarmiento, Aguilar, who are on big money and we need to get rid of because they're not going to get work permits when that becomes a thing that needs to happen in the, I think it's January, so 6 months' time. Work permits are going to become a thing, and that's going to become a problem for some of these non-British players. We have had our first youth intake in. It's not as good as you'd think. Losing the Etihad campus has been significant. The best guy to come through this first youth intake of the save, name in the game channel member, Russ Eddy, 16-year-old, 6'1" attacking midfielder. I imagine he's going to get bigger and bigger. Whether he's ever going to be good enough to actually get in our team, we shall see. It's all a bit skewed. 3.5 stars as a conference player now. You've got to compare that to, well, we're comparing that to Tommy Doyle, who's probably championship level, Premier League level Tommy Doyle. So he's 4 stars. So although it might be disappointing to see Russ Eddy there on 3.5 stars, he might end up a League One championship level player, which means he's likely to be used when we get there as we continue selling these players who are too good for us, and we need to stop that from happening. But we've talked enough about money. It's all about, so all we ever think about in this, we're money obsessed. Let's go beat Notts County and win the league. We've got Trafford in goal, a back four of Wilson, Esbrand, Doyle, Harwood-Bellis and Lewis. Doyle, the other one at the base of the midfield. Fiorini and McAtee ahead of him. Rogers on the left, Bob on the right, who is still on the transfer list. He's another one who's not going to get a work permit. And then Delap up front. Bob has kind of come into his own as our replacement for Cole Palmer since he moved on back in the January transfer window, who interestingly has gone into West Ham's reserve team effectively. Last time I checked, he'd only started 2 games, 2 substitute appearances, no goals, no assists, nothing significant on his average rating. So although Phil Foden, of course, left us and went on to become a key player for Paris Saint-Germain, Cole Palmer already is a demonstration of a player who's that next tier down and isn't yet ready to start for West Ham. So although we look at the likes of Doyle and Delap and say, well, they're probably good Championship, lower Premier League quality players, take it with a pinch of salt, because when a player even better than them went to the Premier League, he didn't start. But what we have started is scoring against Notts County, less than 2 minutes on the clock, and Liam Delap, I think that's his 41st league goal of the season. He's decided to set some records this year, and fair play to him. If we have to lose him this summer as part of the book balancing exercise, it is going to be a little bit of a blow, because we still don't really have another striker coming through. Russ Eddy might be playing sooner rather than later if he ends up being the only striker we can use. We've got a lad called Dixon who we use in the FA Trophy, who is rubbish and doesn't ever score goals or anything. It's very different to playing Liam Delap, and it's very sad. Bob plays it into the path of Lewis, who, since the departure of Jan Couto back in January, Rico Lewis has established himself as our starting right back. He still picks up far too many injuries. He's had like 5 or 6 little niggling injuries this year. So Aguilar does get to play occasionally, but Aguilar is definitely one we are going to try and get out of the door this summer, because earning £20,000 a week as a backup player is absurd. Morgan Rogers, though, is there to make it 2-0. And although Notts County are very, very good, we're even very gooder, as we're demonstrating it, although it's been disallowed. I mean, it's very borderline. And weirdly, Meadow Lane isn't absolutely packed out here. There's lots of empty seats. I know it's a big ground for non-league. It's bigger than Gig Lane, where we're playing. But you would think for what is still mathematically a title decider, even though we've dominated and are on an absurd number of points, Notts County know that if somehow they were to win in this game, they'd have a real chance of winning the league. But even with that in case, and it would be one of the great stories in football in history if they managed to pull it off, they've not bothered to turn up, which means they don't deserve it. That's why I don't feel bad about 112 points with 3 games to go. In any other world, they win the league with that kind of points total. I mean, just like in real life, Wrexham are going to do 100 points this season as well. So you're going to have us, Notts County and Wrexham all on over 100 points. Again, an argument for you probably need more than one automatic promotion spot from the National League. It's a silly league, but Rico Lewis has just grabbed a lovely little goal. And that's the advantage of playing a right footer at right back rather than playing him at left back. He can actually come forward and do that goal, which he's not able to do from the other side. He has to hit it with his other foot. But he's left him in so much space there, and he just tucks it past the Notts County goalkeeper very comfortably. It's 2-0, and that is probably the goal that, although it doesn't mathematically get us there, it's effectively rubber stamping our return to the Football League after just 1 year away. And then the question becomes, what kind of squad are we going to have going into our first League 2 season? We are going to have pressure to sell most of this team to try and balance the books. I have a little fantasy scenario in my mind where if we sell 5 or 6 of them, we might even be able to start the season with a bank balance of 0, which would be, I think that would be a huge achievement. A year in with £24 million a month of loan repayments coming out. If we manage to get a year in and still have a bank balance of 0, I think that's some impressive stuff. But it is going to involve selling a lot of these players. And as we saw with the Cole Palmer deal back in January, player values are dropping as we start to settle into this new lower reputation that we've got. We're not going to have another scenario like with Foden where we get 50, 60 million pounds for a player. Those days are long behind us, no matter how good someone like Rico Lewis is. And remember, Rico Lewis was called up to England's provisional World Cup squad. So you would think a 17-year-old defender called up to England's World Cup squad, you would think that's a 40 or 50 million pound player. But we don't get anywhere near that for him, because reputation and the league that we're playing in is starting to have that little bit extra of an impact. But 3-0 up at half-time. We will take that, boys and girls. 3-0, and then we just hopefully go and rattle out a couple more and then go and win the FA trophy and being home, being tucked up in bed with a nice cup of Horlicks by 6 o'clock. That'd be lovely old stuff. Come on, everybody. Let's humiliate them. Let's beat them so severely that they can't win the playoffs and really prove the injustice of non-league. We've still got to play Wrexham as well. We play Wrexham on the last day of the season. I don't think Wrexham can catch Notts County, but obviously they're only playing for second place anyway. It's pretty meaningless. One of those teams who get over 100 points are going to miss out on promotion altogether because there's just the one automatic and then the one team comes up through the playoffs. So there's going to be at least one of them playing in the National League again next year, which is absurd. I mean, Chesterfield are on 86 points. The team behind them's on 68. Again, Chesterfield are going to be feeling very miffed. They're going to finish the season on over 90 points and we'll probably not even get to the playoff final. It's so silly. What a silly league. I'm glad we're massively overpowered in it because without being massively overpowered, it's really hard to get out of. I mean, if we'd have slipped up just a couple of times, Notts County were ready and waiting to pounce on us, 6 points behind us going into this game when we've been utterly dominant. We've won almost every game. We've not lost once. And Notts County are still pushing us all the way as we go into the end of the season. And thankfully, you can see in this match that we are still significantly better than them, which is handy. Right, Morgan Rogers had a really poor game. It's not like him to play poorly at all, but we'll take him off. Make that substitution at the back as well. Just stick Rico Lewis into that holding midfield role that he does from time to time. So we don't really have a backup right back on the bench very often. We've mentioned Aguilar in this video already, but he never sits on the bench. So we tend to push Harwood Bellis out to right back when we put Lewis into the defensive midfield role, and it allows us to add one of the many, many centre-backs that we've got. In addition to Doyle and Harwood Bellis, we've obviously got Burns, we've got Charles, we've got a guy called Mbete, I think his name is. We've got 5 very good centre-backs. So certainly not going to be too upset if we have to sell one of them this summer because we've got a decent little conveyor belt there. It's that the centre-back and the wing are our 2 most stocked positions where I think we can afford to still lose a few more and it not adversely affect the team too much. We've obviously already lost 2 wingers in the shape of Foden and Palmer, but Liam Delap has got in behind here. We haven't made our 3rd substitution yet. We'll let this highlight play out. Delap plays it into McAtee, and now McAtee, who is another one who's probably leaving this summer, plays it across to Delap, and what a dominant, towering header from Liam Delap. 45 goals for the season now for him, and that does finish Notts County off. We're going to bring on Ben Knight. He can come on for Bob on that right-hand side, and Ben Knight is probably the most likely candidate at the moment to take over as our centre-forward from Liam Delap. He's another one who has played there from time to time. Delap got sent off recently and was suspended, so Knight played up front, and Knight's had a couple of opportunities to play as our centre-forward. He's a winger, really, but like I say, we're massively overstocked on the wing, and we need strikers. So both Rogers, who probably is going to be sold, but Knight, who we might be able to keep hold of because he's on quite a low salary, I think. Knight is most likely to take over as that starting striker for us next season, and hopefully can do to League 2 what Liam Delap has done to the National League. Harwood Bellis then on the right-hand side, a centre-back, just dancing around down the right wing. Fiorini crosses to Delap, who's looking for a hat-trick, but this time his header is straight into the hands of the Notts County goalkeeper, and Burns is just there to be an enormous try. I mean, the other option, I guess, would be to stick one of these centre-backs up front and just play him as a target man. We've got so many big, lanky boys at the back like Finley Burns. He could do a job as a centre-forward in this team, I'm sure. Notts County are pushing us all the way. That's their 2nd goal of the game. I don't think they're going to get back into it, but they are just teasing the world with, look at how good we are. Langstaff's quite good, isn't he? They've got in behind us here. Our fullback has got a little bit out of position. And it is just a little bit of a warning shot that, yes, we've been very good this season, but there are teams who can test us. Obviously, we're very good going forward, but just occasionally we do look a little bit questionable at the back. So I am very intrigued to see what happens next season. Obviously, this first season, I think we can all agree, this season was always going to be relatively easy. It has been. will next season be? Let me know down in the comments what you think. Langstaff has scored again here. It's 4-3. We're into the 91st minute. I don't think Notts County are getting back into it. I mean, it doesn't really matter one way or the other. Even if it's a 4-4 draw, we'll be 6 points clear with 3 games to go. Although we do still have to play Wrexham. But I don't think we're going to be dropping enough points for Notts County to catch us. It would be very handy, though, if we could just hold on and make sure we pick up the win, just to make sure there's no catching us if we win the match. McAtee plays it out to Wilson Esbrand. Now would be a nice time for a goal. Lewis playing it in. What a pass from Rico Lewis. There is Knight, and he can't apply the finish. See, Liam Delap scores there, but then Liam Delap's not going to be cutting in off the wing like that. So not really relevant. We're comparing the two of them. Right, we've got a corner. We need to score from this just to calm me down a bit going into these final couple of minutes. Fiorini with the corner. We've got the usual suspects gathered at that far post, and it's bouncing around in there. And it's actually James McAtee who's turned that over the line. His 20th goal of the season from central midfield. It was a chaotic piece of defending from Notts County. Right, they've got to the ball for the original corner, but rather than heading it clear, they've kind of headed it back across goal, where McAtee is there to leap above the guy defending the near post and rubber stamp the whole affair. We don't get the trophy lift because it's not completely mathematically guaranteed yet, but Notts County, we need to lose our next 3 games while Notts County win each of theirs 20-0 for them to catch us. So it seems unlikely. I'll not show you another league match, but if I can time it right, I'll still show you the trophy lift, and then we'll head over to Wembley, the FA Trophy final, where I'll still play the second string of players so you can get an idea of who we've got likely to be in and around the team next year when we sell off all these players who are wanted in the first team. And here we are in the final moments of the next game, 3-0 up over Eastleigh. So we've not lost. And as far as I can tell, I mean, I haven't checked, but I don't think Notts County are 20-0 up in their game. So it seems unlikely that the swing that could have won them the league is going to happen. So any moment now, we should get the final whistle in this game and our trophy lift, the first of many trophy lifts in the series. I mean, someone did ask the other day, what is the win conditions of the save? I'm not looking to win the Premier League or the Champions League or anything like that with this Manchester City team. The goal is very simple. That kit looks lovely, this close up. The goal is very simple. We want to get Manchester City back to the Premier League and clear the debts. So there's not going to be a gazillion trophy lifts as part of this save. But this one was certainly an important one, because if we'd have got stuck in the National League, that would have been a problem. Financial disaster. As it is, back in the Football League, only 3 more promotions needed to get us back to the Premier League. And then it's all about making sure those debts get cleared and we re-establish back in the Premier League, ideally in a new ground. That'd be nice. But there we go. Title secured. Now we just need to go and win the FA Trophy as well with the B team. Look at that beautiful suit that I'm wearing. What a handsome man. Well, I wasn't prepared for the FA Trophy final to be a month after the end of the season. I've just pressed the continue button a lot. It is worth noting for those of you who are concerned with this kind of thing. The National League playoffs have happened. So there you go. There's your confirmation. Notts County winning the playoffs. Chesterfield actually knocked Wrexham out. We did get 3 teams finish on 100 points. Chesterfield on 95. It is us and Notts County who get promoted, though. So maybe Wrexham will get their turn next year. Liam Delap won the top goal scorer. James McAtee got player of the year. I got manager of the year. Now let's go win the FA Trophy with our second string. This is the team. A lot of these you won't have seen before in these videos. I'm familiar with them a little bit because they've been part of this FA Trophy run all the way through. We've got some of the big hitters on the bench, like Rogers and Delap, but the team for today, it is Slicker in goal, a back 4 of Taylor, Mbete, Burns and Aguilar, Shea Charles at the base of the midfield, Breckin and Hamilton ahead of him, Knight on the left, and Meboud, I don't know, on the right, and then Dixon up front. We talked about Dixon before. Let's see if this team has what it takes to navigate Southend and win the FA Trophy. It's our only opportunity to win the FA Trophy. We're obviously not going to be in it next year. I don't intend on getting relegated. Apparently, there's a 90,000 attendance. Who says Manchester City have no fans? I imagine most of these are Man City fans. I don't think Southend have brought 45,000 people with them. What they have done, though, is grabbed an early goal. 8 minutes gone. It's 1-0 to Southend. And this is a situation we are not at all familiar with. The only games we've lost this season have been against Liverpool and Arsenal. Southend could be about to join that elusive group. Or maybe they've just poked the bear and we're going to go and ruin them now. It's Knight to take the corner. 2 minutes have passed since the goal. And there is the immediate reply. Big Finley Burns, all 6'5" of him, is there for that far post header. You can see by the number 6 shirt on his back, I fully intended for him to be my starting centre-back over the course of this season. It hasn't really worked out for him or Shea Charles, who wears the number 4 shirt. Both of them, I was expecting to be more regular members of the team than they have been. And he steps up as captain of the, I mean, he's not Captain Slick as the captain, but as the main man of this second string, and grabs the equaliser. And there is Knight, who we've spoken about a little bit. I don't think he's going to be the Liam Delap replacement, is he? His finishing is just a little off. I mean, he is naturally a winger. Maybe Dixon will be the one. Who knows? Dixon's actually a striker, at least. He's just doesn't seem very good yet, but maybe his time will come. Maybe today. Maybe he just needs a big performance at Wembley to show us that he's ready to step into Liam Delap's enormous shoes when he moves on in the summer. Because, like we said before, we need to sell the big value players while they've still got big value. So that means McAtee, that means Delap, that means the Doyles, Harwood Bellis. Those 5, as a minimum, probably have to move on this summer. And if we can get close to 100 million for the 5 of them, that would be that would go a long way towards securing our financial future for another year. And hopefully meaning we're not going to be hit by an administration in our League 2 season, because, of course, administration comes with points deductions. And the last thing we want, as we're trying to go back to make it back to the Premier League, the last thing we want is points deductions. I mean, obviously, the financial management stuff and all that, I guess it's important. I just want to avoid the points deductions. Ultimately, long term, it'd be nice to clear the debts, but I'm the first team manager. I'm not the finance director. I'm here to win the football matches and get us back to the Premier League. So my financial incentive kind of begins and ends with avoiding points deductions. For now, anyway, we will clear the debt. I know some of you will be upset. I promise we will clear the debt. It's going to be a lot easier to clear the debt once we're in the Premier League with all that money coming in. And we're not going to clear the debt in League One. There's £1.5 billion to generate. We could play in League One for the rest of eternity, and we're not going to clear £1.5 billion worth of debt in League One. So it's all part of the long-term goal. It's sensible to get back to the Premier League, because that is the only place where we're ever likely to clear this debt. Dixon has just won a penalty, I think. I mean, it looked like he just jumped up in the air and the referee gave a penalty for it. I'm completely comfortable with that happening, but we have the opportunity now to go ahead. It's going to be Mbete to take. He has scored a penalty for us earlier this season. He's now scored another one at Wembley to put us 2-1 up, and hopefully that puts an end to Southend's attempts to join the Liverpool and Arsenal club as the only teams that have beaten us so far in this save. 2-1 to Manchester City, half an hour to go, and our substitutions are all, like I say, we've got the big hitters on the bench. We've got Rodgers, we've got Delap, we've got Harwood Bellis. These are the boys who are going to come on and get us over the finish line if we feel like we need them. Of course, if we grab another goal here, and we might bring on a couple of the more fringe players to give them an opportunity in a game like this. But it'd be nice for Delap to play his final game for the club at Wembley. I'm talking as if he's definitely going. We've not accepted anything. I need him to go because we need the money. But if we don't get a decent offer, Delap will definitely be here next year. Don't you worry about that. That is 3-1, though. It's good work down this right-hand side by Meboud, who's wanting to leave all year, but has now decided he's happy to stay. So I'm now happy to use him. And Micah Hamilton, who's another one who wants to leave. So I've not really used him because I don't see the point in playing players who don't want to be here. But he's playing today because it's second string o'clock. Hamilton then playing it forward to Dixon, who's been hacked down again. Dixon can draw a foul, apparently, and that's a red card for Southend. And that is the end of the match, I imagine, for them. 3-1 up against 10 men with 20 minutes to go. And I think we're about to add the fourth Knight with the in-swinger. Meboud is there at the far post. Can't keep his header down, but we will make a couple of changes now. Let's bring Delap on to say goodbye to him Likewise, Harwood Bellis will bring him on to say goodbye to him. And you know what? Morgan Rogers is probably going to leave. You know, we're not going to bring him on. I'd like to keep Morgan Rogers around. I think he's too useful in terms of the fact he can play in multiple different positions, and also his value is a little bit lower and his salary is a little bit lower, so he's not as much of a priority to get out the door. The reason we want to get rid of these other guys is to cash in on them while we can. If we don't need to cash in on Rogers, we won't cash in on him. I'm not in the business of selling players for 1 or 2 million. That doesn't even cover the wages for the month. There's no point doing that. If we're selling anyone, it's going to be for 10 million plus, unless there's a very good reason to sell them, like with Sarmiento, where we need to get him gone so we don't keep playing him and end up constantly having to pay £1 million here and there to cover his salary. Right, we have a penalty, our second penalty of the game. It's Liam Delap, possibly his final goal for Manchester City. Hammers it home from the penalty spot. It's goal 47 of the season for Liam Delap, and he's been pretty good in non-league. Here's Kev's scouting tip of the day: if you're managing in non-league, sign Liam Delap. He scores lots of goals. I mean, you won't be able to. He's too good for this league. But the editor said, go use the editor. The editor's fun. We made this save with the editor. The editor's fun. Go do it. What's the harm? 4-1, we're just waiting for a trophy lift now. Finley Burns plays it forward to Breckin. Breckin's looked good in these last couple of games. He played the last couple of league games. Kean Breckin, I think if we are going to be losing McAtee, Breckin is probably going to be the man to step into that midfield role next season. We've obviously got Hamilton there as well, but Breckin is looking very, very good. Plays it back to Burns there. Now Mbete at left centre-back, plays it over the top to Knight, who's got in behind here, skips past his man, plays it back to Hamilton. Hamilton shapes to shoot, and it ends up in the back of the net. I don't know if it went via Liam Delap. In fact, it's gone via the Southend defender. That makes it 5. I'm surprised Delap's not trying to claim it. I mean, he probably is. It's good work from Knight, kept hold of the ball well there, and then Hamilton with the shot that was going wide, and Delap's gone for it. The defender's gone for it. It's got it off the defender. In reality, Delap is going to claim that all day long. But 5-1 now. Poor old Southend. They gave us a tough match until they went down to 10 men. But as soon as they got that player sent off, they were finished. And we've humiliated them a little bit here. I mean, to be fair, they weren't one of the teams on like 90 plus points. So they were never going to have much of a chance against us anyway. But Breckin now in midfield plays it back to Burns. And we've got a minute or so left on the clock. We're just knocking the ball around, keeping possession. It's a lovely pass through to Delap. Oh, and he misses by a mile. That's the worst attempt on goal from Liam Delap all season long. I think he just took a wild swing at it, wanted that last moment here at Wembley for Man City before he goes and plays in the Championship or the Premier League next season, because he's good enough to do it. And hopefully someone comes in and throws cash at him, or throws cash at us, I guess. I don't care if don't pay him for, like, we want the money. Nathan Ralph used to play for Peterborough. He was a striker. I think he became a left back as his career went on. But back when he came through the posh youth team, he was a striker. A little bit of lower league knowledge for you there, boys and girls. Lovely old stuff. Right. Are we ever getting the final whistle in this game? We're 5-1. There we go. Finally, we get our trophy lift. You get to see me in my very fetching suit once again. I don't know why I'm not wearing a white shirt. The team have got white shorts. You'd think I could get away with a white shirt, but I've just decided to go full sky blue, including the shoes and presumably the underpants as well. And for the second time in this episode, we are lifting a trophy. Kieran Slicker lifting it this time at Wembley. I mean, 18 months ago, I don't think he expected to be lifting a trophy for Manchester City's first team at Wembley as captain. How strange and how quickly things can change in imaginary football worlds. But there is the non-league double, the big one. And next season, we have to do it all over again in League Two. And tomorrow, we're going to find out how many of these players will still be here when we kick off on that first day of the new season. As you can see, there's a lot of them who are wanted, and there's a lot of them we need to get shot of if we're going to balance these books. If you've enjoyed that, please make sure you leave a nice big thumbs up on there for me. Subscribe to the channel for daily Football Manager videos. And thank you very much for watching.